Hi everyone, it's Veroosh. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you were watching live that disaster. That's never happened before. What happened was I did 15 minutes of tonight's reading with no sound. And I was focused on the reading, so I wasn't reading comments, hyper focused, diligent, and I didn't do it. So Mercury retrograde strikes again. There was an update on my computer and it reset some settings. Some things it reset, other things it did not. So I thought it was working well and it didn't. So welcome. The next couple weeks are kind of important. They're leading up to Saturn retrograde, which is happening in Aquarius. And I thought it would be smart for us to get together, since I've been away most of the time, to talk about the astrology as well as do some tarot. And today's video I want to do different than usual. I wanted to start with tarot first, so I did that, and then we'll explain the astrology, and then we'll connect the astrology to the tarot. So I wanted to lay down all the cards and then talk about the astrology. I thought it would be more interesting for us. So if you're a member, thank you for waiting for your readings. I want to make an announcement before we start. So we were in the middle of a series when I got hurt, remember? And I was supposed to do earth and fire sign readings, which I didn't do because I hurt myself. And I'm fine, by the way. Thank you guys for all your well wishes. So since it's after the eclipses and there's a new series of energies that are coming up, I think it's better if we just start the whole series over, starting with earth and fire. So starting tomorrow, I'll come on and do the elemental readings for members. Maybe the first one we'll do live so everybody can watch for earth. And then I'll also do water and air a second time. I'm sorry I'm doing those twice. It's just an injury. And so that's all I can do. And so anyway, what that video is going to cover, that series, they're going to be full 12 sign, 12, each zodiac sign is going to get a full reading. And we're going to talk about a lot of the same energies that we're talking about tonight collectively. And then for everyone else, don't worry, I'm coming back for everyone else as well. I'm deliberating whether to do the Mercury retrograde reading because we're in the middle of a transition period from air to earth Mercury. So I think it's a good time for that. However, I did do a Mercury retrograde all sign video at the beginning of the year in which I explained this energy, the second retrograde of the year. So maybe you can go and watch that. We're still definitely doing the nodes, Jupiter and Aries. There's a couple different things that I want to do a video for everybody. So I'm just going to get a feel for the energy, and we'll start putting out videos for all signs on the main channel as well. So I hope you guys are patient with me as I get my stuff together, as I learn how to turn on my microphone. But that's okay. So yes. And also, people are waiting for their reading. Thank you so much for waiting for a little bit longer. I couldn't sit to do readings. I was fine otherwise, but I just couldn't sit comfortably. And so, of course, I couldn't film, and I couldn't sit with a client, and I didn't feel comfortable doing readings in bed, so while I was laying down. So, and it was very restless. So I was like up and down a lot. I couldn't be in one spot for a very long time. So anyway, that's over. And I'll be getting in touch with you guys for your reading soon. If you want a reading with me, go into the description and check it out. Okay, so that's all I have to say. So today what we're going to cover is the period from now, which includes Mercury retrograde, and until the Saturn turns retrograde on the 4th of June, so the next 2 weeks. And so, like I said, I want to do it different. I want to do lay down the cards for a collective reading, get into the astrology, tell you guys my opinion on things, and then go back and connect the astrology wherever we can to the tarot. So I hope that works out. Big thumbs up to everybody who waited. I think that's super cool, you guys. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's take a look. So the first card we had was the Two of Wands. So right away I said it felt like turning over a new leaf time, really going in a new direction. Overall, I said in this video that it feels as though there's a lot of leaving the past in the past and moving towards new things. It does feel as though some of the things in the past, I'll jump around a bit as I remember the messages, but the Eight of Swords was here, and I said, even though you're moving forward, there's still things in the past that need to be addressed, but it's too complicated at this time to address them. So there's this energy of, there's stuff there to address, but it's not getting that much movement yet. And so there's a little bit of waiting. And in this position, the Nine of Wands is saying, waiting for the better time, waiting for certain things to play themselves out a bit is actually fortunate. So you don't necessarily have to address everything. In fact, you have a new beginning coming, which is the Ace of Wands, and its spring has come. I was telling you guys also about how it's been dark, and today is the first day of sunshine, literally. Now, I know you guys think I live in the snow, but I don't. There's very little snow where I live in Canada. It's kind of like the warmest part of the country. So anyway, people think I live in snow and it's cold, but it's actually warm, except this year, and it's been unreasonably cold, unseasonably cold, and it's only today that the sun broke through, but it's still cold. It's just sunny. So whatever, I welcome it, because last year we had a heat wave that, hurt a lot of people and started a lot of forest fires. So I'm happy with the weather as it is, but it is nice to see the sun. So what was I saying about that? There's this break here, like spring forward, the ability to move forward and begin new things. And of course, with the eclipses that just passed, there has been a lot of closure, new things beginning, a big push forward with the eclipse in Taurus that's happened. And so now it's sort of breaking ground. The Ace of Swords here refers to the fact that there's some kind of message, important message that's coming to you, and it's a psychic message. So it's a message from a psychic. Hi, it's a message from someone close to you. It really feels as though it's a message that comes in natural conversation, which means that it's not necessarily like, some like a psychic or something. It's more like someone relays to you something that comes from their mind, and they're not necessarily a professional psychic, but they have some intuitive insight on a situation. There's this Two of Swords here. This is where I went on my rant, so maybe I'll refrain from the rant right here, except to say a couple little things. I was noticing the energy. I'm like, oh, that's what it is, and then I got into it. So with the Two of Swords, it really feels as though there is balance between yourself and other females, and there's a camaraderie, a making of peace coming on a similar level with others. So what I actually talked about, and I'll mention it briefly because I think it's relevant. I'm under the I left a Twitter message today, and it said, or maybe yesterday, and it said that women are once again under attack. And it wasn't because of Roe versus Wade, but Roe versus Wade is, of course, a huge example of this. I really have this strong feeling. I wrote it and then I realized, oh, Roe versus Wade, that's what everybody thinks. I think it's deeper. I think that there is a psychic collective aggression that's directed at women right now. Women are historically blamed. So oftentimes, in positions of power, women were given positions of power when a government was capitulating. So when there was problems, a government or a corporation, there's statistics on this. And so women are often the scapegoat. And I feel this scapegoat energy here. I feel like people are finding excuses with animosity towards women and those kinds of things as well. And women are a part of that. Women with internalized misogyny, projecting their hate, projecting their fears. It's all over the place, and I like the card here because of that, because it signals to me that sisterhood kind of energy, sister energy is coming here. So I hope that you feel it as well, and if you feel an inclination to call your friend and reconnect and share with an open heart, that you do. Two of Swords, kind of putting to rest certain things. And I also felt a very strong heart-based connection between women. So it's very helpful to see that, because the download about women being under attack that I put on Twitter, I put my kind of downloads on Twitter, like short ones that I'm not going to put in a video if I think it's very relevant. Sometimes it sounds like an opinion, but oftentimes 90% of the stuff I post on Twitter, they're downloads. They're just like, this is the energy that's coming in now, so be aware of it. So this Two of Swords is great, and I really feel like women supporting women is the way, and so we got to be watching out for each other. And watching out for men too. There's an animosity here, a Five of Cups, and if you're a guy, I'm not attacking you, but there is this Five of Cups from the masculine, in which there's resentment or there's disappointment or sadness towards this. I remember what this was. This was like the fact that the female energy is pushing forward in some direction and not being bothered as much, coming to peace with something, is actually upsetting the masculine. And the masculine is upset that the feminine is sort of, breaking away and not apologizing for it. So there could be this kind of, and maybe this is where the misogyny is coming from. They're mad, so they're projecting, and they're trying to incriminate women into that. The other energy that came through very strong is this line here. And this is when I brought up the chart to show you guys, so I'm going to do it again. So Ceres, a minor planet outside of the orbit of Mars, is easily the ruler of the 4th house or the 6th house. It's a maternal, homey energy, not like home, like home-like energy, family energy, and I like it in Cancer. It's a very, very good energy. And so here we have this energy of the Chariot in this position and the Four of Wands in this position, adding to the Two of Wands. The Chariot, first of all, signifies that improvements in relationships with family members are happening. It could involve Cancer people, or it could be referring to the transit that I just showed you, the Ceres transit in Cancer. Family relationships are improving and things are really working out, ironing themselves out. And then we have the Four of Wands, which represents improvement in the home. There's just real closeness between family members. Listen, if you don't have family members that are related to you, you need to find, I hope you find, family members. And it was reaffirmed for me recently by a woman who was adopted, and she vehemently stated, blood is not thicker than water. And I thought that that's such a poignant thing to say, because it is a construct in terms of who's important in our lives and how. But many people are resolved to live different realities than a nuclear family. So blood is not thicker than water. You can do very well with, and in some instances, blood can be much more harmful than water. So if you're in a situation, I always feel bad when I mention messages about family, because I just don't want to upset people. So you go on and you find your family, you find your connection and build your friends, because they're waiting for you, and it's a really good time for family closeness, that kind of energy. I'm happy I remembered most of these messages. This Empress was related to the divine feminine energy, this energy of being very unapologetic. So women are really standing their ground. You should dig in your heels and not apologize to anyone for anything. Very, very important energy. Very strong in yourself. Your message that you're receiving from someone will actually reaffirm that. So you'll get some kind of psychic message or some kind of insight that's going to reaffirm the need or the importance of you reaffirming. And if you're a guy watching, I'll explain in a minute, but reaffirm your strength in the feminine energy. If you're a man, if you're interacting with women or feminine energy in any way, they will take the front step. There's an assertive energy for women that's coming up, and it's coming up strong. I think it's in response to the last month. While the eclipses were happening, one of the videos I didn't do yet, I'll probably do it, is that I felt that there was a very strong antipathy towards women emerging with the Mars in Cancer and Roe versus Wade, all of that stuff. It kept on mounting until I wrote the tweet, and then I realized I had some downloads at how that there's there's a real problem. Like, it mounted to the point that I realized that there was a concerted effort to bring women down. And it's no one scheming here. So let's be clear. People in their subconscious are attacking women. And so, if you're a man or a woman, be aware of this, not only for yourself, but for women around you, children around you. Be very, very conscious of, protecting women around you at this time. So this Empress is very much the strong, the feminines leading forward. Ace of Wands is kind of a division of time card in this position. It's suggesting to me that there's some past issues that still need to be resolved. It is Mercury retrograde, Saturn retrograde's coming up, but you can't focus on those things now. There's really new things beginning. So that's really encouraging. And then we have the Eight of Pentacles. That really just messaged to me that there was definitely some working on your own, drawing away from other people and focusing in on yourself. And then we got to it, 10 of Wands, which was an energy of a break in the heaviness of the energy. And in fact, that's the reason why I did this video, was to show you the astrology, because I saw a 2-week timeline in which there is a break in the energy right now, but it's not a break that you should just waste. So we're going to talk about how to use it best so you don't burn out. It's a very heavy year neurologically, in my opinion. Now, this isn't a medical opinion, right? But I think it's a year of a lot of intense energies leading to a lot of stress potentially. And so right now that energy is decreasing. So it's time to rest up, to get prepared for the next round that starts on June 4th. There will be things still in the interim, but for now, this 10 of Wands, the heaviness you've been going through is subsided. I'll explain that more in a minute with the astrology. So there was an astrological reason, the preparation for Saturn, why I wanted to come today and do this, but this is reaffirmed by the cards. Okay, so next line. We have the Ace of Cups. We have 3 aces. Very successful time. Okay, so this is with regard to new relationships. If you're in a new relationship, or if you like someone and you're dating them, it's saying slow approach, that there is something there in your relationship or the person you like. But I think that, especially if you're dealing with a man, you might be hitting upon some of their grumpier days. They're feeling grumpy, something like that. Okay, so let's see the next message. We have the 7 of Wands. You definitely don't want to wait, which is contradictory to the 9 of Wands. However, I think it's like a nuanced statement. The 7 of Wands depicts, like I said, don't go out and laze around. You still need to do something, but you need to wait on troubleshooting some things in the past, because they're not going to be so easy to troubleshoot, and you'll spend a lot of time trying to fix it. and I don't think you'll get much headway. So it's better to apply efforts towards new directions and new opportunities that are coming up. Then you have the Seven of Swords here. Somebody's been running away within a family, especially running away from a confrontation or a situation of some sort. That's coming to an end very quickly. So somebody's been avoiding phone calls, that kind of thing. I think that's coming to an end, and that's going to really greatly improve the relationship. If you're dating a Sagittarius, this is a good sign. Sun, moon, rising. There's some really good energy coming from them. There's definitely a spiritual sort of streak here that's coming up. It's more like very Piscean. I guess Mars and Neptune are still conjoined in Pisces. But this is a very spiritual spot. A very spiritual spot. And it's kind of ambiguous in terms of what it is. There's messages. Let me just say it how it's coming through. There's messages. There's a path moving forward. There's obstacles there. There's someone leading the way with someone else. But it's very, very spiritual connection. Very strong feminine energy. But to me, this feels like a masculine energy too. Or a young female. Very, very young female. And there's a how do you say, a connection between people that's emerging, and it's very on the spiritual side, on the very kind of high philosophy, high mental understanding of things. You know, when you speak with someone on a very high level about the world and your interpretations, and it's not really based in, you know, practical things. It's very ethereal, very ambiguous, and very like discussing the blueprint of things, right? So it can feel very woo-woo, you know. And the other thing that I'm picking up here is very Gemini energy. Now, the sun's moving into Gemini, so happy Gemini season. Happy birthday, Geminis. But there's this very, like, happy, almost laughing and joyful energy with it. So it's very, very nice. I know that's kind of a bunch of just downloads, random messages, but if you can think abstractly about them and see where they apply in your life. Then you have Six of, it's very nice energy, like very much like angels and those kinds of spirit guides. Six of Wands. I remember what I said when the mic was off, the spirit guide message. So there is a very spiritual side to this energy. There's a very spiritual side to Saturn, in my opinion. I have Saturn prominent in my chart, and I definitely have sought out religion without any incentive from my community. I didn't have that kind of, conditioning. And Saturn is actually very religious and spiritual. Now, I don't know, you do you with regard to religion, but in terms of spirituality, which encompasses all viewpoints, I just posted a video on a different platform with some audio of Polish white vocals songs. So it's a type of singing in Eastern Europe, and it's a bit of a prayer to the elements. It's really beautiful. And so I did it for kind of prep for today's video, and it was like very connect to the ancestors sort of energy, get in touch with the ancestors, not just me and not just Polish people, not just Slavic people, but everyone. And so when I posted this video, it pushed me onto another person's post, and that person literally posted something also very ethereal, very connected with like kind of spirituality in a bigger sense, with Gaelic music in the background, very beautiful Gaelic music. And so I just thought it was very poignant that many people are tapping into this very spiritual, very kind of, almost like a church, but without the institution there. Kind of just the vibe of the really spiritual take on things. So that's where that's coming from. That's what you guys missed when the mic was off. So six of wands. So there's an apparent victory. You won a victory, but it's not apparent in something yet. So it's not crystal clear. It might be hidden. Keep doing what you're doing. If it's not showing the results you want, you just wait and see. Then we have Page and Pentacles, Page of Pentacles. There's definitely a new financial beginning for many of you, a new start with something. And then Five of Swords. It really feels like there's a oppressed energy around you. Now, I don't want to minimize anyone's suffering or anybody's unhappiness or whatever. But it feels as though somebody, it's my party and I'll cry if I want to. It's, you know, I'm sad, so I'm going to make you sad sort of energy. So don't apologize to someone for your happiness. Now, be sympathetic to the people around you who are struggling. And if you're not struggling, be sympathetic. But if there's a line that they cross in which they try to be hurtful with you because you're happy and they're not, you know it yourself if that's the situation, then don't stand for it. But you're going to be tested by someone who's not as happy as you are, not as at peace. And remember, it is our nervous system that we're trying to protect here, so make sure that you don't let that in. And then we have the Four of Swords, which is my overall theme for this video actually, which means basically we've had the eclipses and now we have 2 weeks of this decompression and a bit of a switch of the energy. Now, I'm going to talk about the decompression today. I'm fully aware that there are transits moving into Aries, that there's a conjunction between Jupiter and Mars in Aries, Venus is moving into Taurus, and all of that. We'll talk about that separately. That's a different video. But I see a bigger pattern evolving, including the retrograde cycle, so I thought it would be a good idea to kind of show you guys. So there was eclipses, right? There was an eclipse at about 15 degrees of Taurus, and so that was a hard-hitting eclipse. That was a new moon eclipse on the 15th of May. And then there was not 15th of May, on the 30th of April, sorry. And on the 15th, 16th of May, we had the other eclipse alongside the South Node in Scorpio. And that was probably, how do you say this? This probably hit deeper than people realize yet. I think it's still going to emerge. Both are still going to emerge as to what they are. But this energy in Scorpio was just a tsunami, a really, really huge energy. Before we start talking about this more, and here I didn't put on my clicker, I was pointing to them, sorry. So, Mercury again. So, I want to highlight for you guys something because it's important to show you right now. Look at this chart. So, this is a little bit into the night. This is 5:30 a.m. tomorrow morning Pacific time. So right now the moon is with Pluto, literally. And so if you guys have been watching my channel this year, I've highlighted how Capricorn placements and these Taurus placements together have been interacting heavily during the occupation or invasion of Ukraine, or the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. And each time the moon has been in these strategic places, South Node, Capricorn, Taurus, things have escalated or things have unraveled. So it's been pretty intense. We just had the Sun with the North Node conjunction. We have Pluto here. And so I linked it to a star called Medusa. And right now the Sun with the North Node are joining right near Medusa, and the Sun was joined to Medusa just a day ago, or even today. So I'm looking at tomorrow, so tomorrow will be off that position, but it was in that position, and that was a direct trine to Pluto. And so there's been a very deep connection to Putin, who has his moon alongside Medusa, I'm pretty sure. For those of you guys who have seen Putin's astrology, people say it's the third degree of Gemini. However, the moon moves fast, and if he was born early in the day, then it's likely that the moon was born alongside Medusa. And so I believe that because of these transits and because of the flare-ups of this conflict, each time the moon was aspecting Medusa, and because it was a Pluto North Node connection, I'm pretty sure his moon is conjunct Medusa, not in Gemini, but in Taurus. Just saying. So there's been these like really intense transits. And so tonight, the moon is with Pluto again, alongside the time that the sun is alongside Medusa. This is going to be the last strong transit of this sort. Now the moon will cross this point. It does every month. And Pluto's going to be here for the year. So there will be other transits. But in terms of the sequence of these transits we've had between January and now, with the concentration in Capricorn and the North Node in the upper degrees of Taurus, it's really the last one. So I hope nothing crazy happens, but let me just mention it here now. And so because it's the sun with Medusa, it makes me also wonder if not there will be a huge exposure. Something's going to be exposed. Now, I did hear right before I came online a piece of information about the war that was disconcerting. It said that Russia was actually winning at this point, that it had made significant headway, and that it's not being reported on. This was from a news source. And that there, not the war itself, but there was some kind of military success this week, that there was some kind of advancement. And that is scary because it feels on a couple levels. It's scary that there's a war that's raging where people are getting hurt. And then there's a fear also that we don't really understand what's going on, that we're not seeing it. Anyway, so this moon with Pluto, I feel, is deeply connected with this. I don't want to bother you guys with it, but it is an energy of the now that we should be aware of. And so I think that this camaraderie energy between women and you guys too, I really want to encourage all of you to be kind and be on the same page with others. Don't pit yourself up against other people. Don't be hateful. Don't do hateful things to others. This is a time in which we're facing the most, anybody who's my age or younger, this is the most dangerous time of our life. This is hands down. No matter where you live, this is the most complicated, and we're on the brink of so many really terrible things. And so the best thing you can do is be nice to everyone. Stick up for women, stick up for men, just kindness and elevation. And if someone's bringing hate to a space or environment, do what you feel you must. But I think either remove yourself, or I don't think fighting or arguing with those, engaging that energy is going to help. I think elevating the energy and trying to maintain a positive energy, trying to maintain positivity and add something good to the conversation, and be really focused on that. Try to make friends, try to make new friends, try to make new connections, just really put in the effort. And so that's my rebuttal to that kind of Medusa energy. So I posted a bunch of stuff about Medusa, if you're curious, in short form videos on a different app. You can go check it out. I don't want to mention it here, but if you look it up, you'll see it. I did a whole series on it. So I don't want to keep on talking about it. It's a dark transit, but I think people should know, and especially because it's connected to Putin and his moon. I'm sure of it. I think that there's a silver lining to this. The silver lining is, which I'm discouraged by the news today, but the silver lining is that these transits have decompressed. And even though maybe we're not seeing it yet, maybe there is going to be progress towards resolution. Logically, I don't believe it. So it's hard for me to say that. But astrologically, I wonder if there's some kind of a break in that conflict or break in the world circumstances. So a lot's going on monetarily in the world, a lot's going on with the environment all over the place, and a lot's going on with with conflict. And that's really sad to see. So bring positivity and light and be kind to others and try to see their perspective, and try to resolve your conflicts of interests in a peaceable way. So that's my takeaway from the whole, last 2 years of the pandemic and everything else. Life is so short, and a lot's weighing on us. I think most of people my age and younger, even though we have adult responsibilities, we were infantilized, in my opinion. We were not given opportunities to grow into ourselves as adults, and we were pushed to the side, many of us, the majority of us. And so there's this, now that the generations that are retiring and so forth, leaving, it's up to us. So, everybody who's an adult, you're an adult. The world rests on you. Mom and dad are not going to help. And, you're the one who's responsible for the decisions. The older generations were very good at taking that kind of nuance away from us. Oh, I'll take care of it, or I know what the right thing to do is. And so therefore our younger generations have been conditioned to sort of, even though we're adults making adult decisions, we're still sort of referring to somebody else, many of us. And that's the reality that I think, we're contending with. So it's interesting to see those young rulers. If you look in the world, even in world politics, many of the rulers are older people. They're not very much younger people. Very few are. So, or younger people who represent older interests in certain countries. I'm not going to name which ones, but so anyway, so with this energy, it's kind of a wake-up call. My bell's over there, so I can't ring it. But, if you're an adult, even if you're 20 years old, you can be an adult, and don't let older adults tell you not to be an adult. And even though they make it very hard for you right now. So, and I think that that's a great harm that we've done to ourselves as a population, as a collective. And things like this conflict, environmental issues, you have that power. A 20-year-old has just as much authority as a 60-year-old. And I think that we've been conditioned to accept authority from these older generations. And I respect older people. I have many older friends. You guys know that. But we can't stop younger people from growing up anymore, because we're going to have a really big problem with self-authority in the future. We're going to have nobody's going to be able, and we're going to have very weak leaders that are going to mess everything up. So I think this is our warning sign. So be kind and take the lead and be mature about things. Okay. So let's talk about this, and this ties into what I'm talking about. So the real nuance of this energy with regard to the period in between the eclipses and when Saturn retrograde starts is that Saturn has very ever so slightly moved off of its square to the nodes. Now it's still squaring the nodes technically, but it's moving away from that square instead of making the pressures decreasing. And so one of the aspects of the last month or two has been an increase in pressure as Saturn squared the nodes. That is a huge part of it. It's not just the eclipses. Saturn square the nodes is intense. And in case you haven't heard me talk about the astrology about that, let me mention it right now to be clear. Saturn is structure, it's order, it's how we do things. The nodes represent our ethereal trajectories, the past and the future. I know there's other interpretations for it, but I'm just trying to be succinct. And so in terms of where the energy of life is flowing for us, Saturn has been putting tension right in between. The midpoint between the nodes is here. And so that's increased our abilities to move things along. Again, it's not the MC and the IC. So it's not literal practical things. It's the flow. The flow has been resistant. The flow has been pressure filled, and so you push ahead and yet you get pushed back. That flow is pushing against you. And so now that Saturn has moved past that tension point a little bit, it's still there, you can relax a little bit. And also the eclipses having passed, you can relax a little bit. And so it's very important to be aware of this. Now, when Saturn turns retrograde on June 4th, it will really want to clean certain things up. Retrograde planets are rehashing the past, whatever it is. And because there's been eclipses alongside the nodes, because Mercury retrograde just happened, because we had Kalasarpa yoga, which threw everything out of balance, I think the Saturn retrograde period, which is cyclical, it's every year, is going to be very intense, impactful, and important. So a lot of things will happen to make things right. I actually love Saturn retrograde. It's much easier than Mercury retrograde and the other ones. Saturn retrograde is your do-over try. You get your second try at doing it right, so don't be afraid of it. But it's still things for you to do. And as Saturn turns retrograde, it's going to start applying, which is a technical term in astrology, that square on the nodes, the distance, the distance between itself and the perfect square on the nodes is going to start becoming smaller and smaller again until it passes it to the other side. So it's really hovering these nodes. I've been telling you about it all year. It's just pressure, pressure, pressure. So right now, and this is the effect on the neurology, right? The pressure, pressure, pressure mounting. So for the next 2 weeks, we have a decrease in pressure. And then when Saturn starts applying again on June 4th, we're going to start feeling it again. So, you know, even though it's Mercury retrograde, you still want to use this energy. Another reason why you want to use this energy at this time is that we're in the waning moon phase, which means that it was a full moon and it's moving to the new moon. In this side of the moon phase, that's between May 16th and May 30th, this is when we release things. This is like, you know, this is taking a good bath, taking a nice shower, and just making sure, like, just really cleaning it all out, letting it go. It's a good backbend, you know, really releasing stress and tension and whatever you have accumulated over the last 2 months. This is your time to just really let it go. So it's a nice energy. And of course, Mercury retrograde is the last point that I want to highlight for you guys. So Mercury retrograde started in Gemini, but it's going to end in Taurus. And in fact, in 2 days, on the 21st of May, it's going to enter into Taurus again. And so if you didn't watch my video for Mercury retrograde at the beginning of the year, I'll link it at the end of the video and in the description so you guys can find it easily. It was a really good video, not to toot my own horn, but I really comprehensively covered it all. So basically this year, all of the Mercury retrogrades start in an earth sign and, start in an air sign and in an earth sign. So all of them are going to be, you know, Aquarius to Capricorn, Gemini to Taurus, Libra to Virgo. That's where it's going to be. The last eclipse starts in December in Capricorn. So that eclipse, the last retrograde, starts in Capricorn in December and will be more, in my opinion, connected to next year. So we'll leave it at that. But this retrograde is starting in Gemini and entering into Taurus. And so what I said in that initial video, and I stick by this, I think it's a good analogy. Right now we have been imbued with all these ideas and deductions, all these ideas and concepts that the eclipses left with us with, that the Saturn square, the nodes, we really see a lot of things that are not working right or things that are broken, okay? And so Mercury retrograde in Gemini has brought that front and center, but on the 22nd, on the 21st, when it enters Taurus, that's when we have the physical application of that. What does that mean for you? That in your life, you probably in some way have identified certain things that are not working well. Some things got irritable and frustrating, especially things pertaining to 25 degrees Aquarius. So find what house that's happening in your chart. So you've had a lot of realizations. When Mercury enters Taurus, you have the ability to apply those things and rectify them. This really ties in with the money markets. I know some of you guys are interested in crypto and stuff. There was a big scam or issue with a coin called Terra Luna. It crashed to the bottom, and there's been a lot of speculation about what happened and why. Very, very shady. Tons of people lost money. And so Mercury retrograde really reminds me of that when it enters into Taurus, it's going to start working things through and working things out. So maybe there will be some fundamental changes to crypto through that time that will kind of fix things. Traditional markets need to change too. Elon Musk wants to buy Twitter. He doesn't want to buy Twitter. You know, his stock prices went down. Walmart just went down yesterday 11%. There's a lot of things that need to adjust. And since the node is in Taurus, I'm guessing that when Mercury enters into Taurus, there's going to be adjustments on the financial markets. This doesn't mean that it's going to improve in the financial markets, but in this time when Mercury enters into Taurus, those adjustments will happen. And as a result of the hard work that happens when Mercury is in Taurus, progress will be made. And it's the same for you personally. This is the time when you can apply yourself and work well. And so the synchronicity between Saturn and Mercury is really cool. Mercury will turn direct on June 2nd in Taurus, and then Saturn will turn retrograde on the 4th in Aquarius. So, and they're going to be squaring each other. So communications, tough business deals, difficult conversations about money, you know, they're internally things we may not be aware of. There'll be a lot of pushing and shoving about contracts and about how to do things. Very hardliner sort of energy. Hardliner means people will be negotiating like very intensely about this kind of stuff. So I was here just to tell you guys, get familiar with this energy. I know Mars is entering Aries. I know Jupiter is in Aries. I know Venus is going to move into Taurus and all that. We'll talk about that in other videos, but just to make it succinct, think of it as Saturn now getting away from the nodes, and it's a breath of fresh air. And then on the 4th, it starts applying again, so the pressure and the tension will rise. And that will be individual for you in your lives. Everybody's life will be different as to how that plays out. So this kind of waiting and seeing energy that we saw in the tarot was very indicative. But there's also this energy of something new. And, you know, this Ace of Wands, it is coming up. I do think that these are these transits in Aries. If you have Aries placements, very, very good energy for you. But everybody else, you know, Aries, with Jupiter now in Aries, like I told you guys, it's been cloudy and cold, and boom, we have sunshine. And so I believe astrology sometimes influences the weather, and I tried to tell you guys when it's synced up like that. So I think so. Also, the other thing is Sun's moving into Gemini, and it's windy. Holy crap, I can't show you, but it's been windy for 2 days. So the air, you know, things are changing, things are moving. And so this Ace of Wands, this fire ace, I'm really drawn to this. New beginnings. Remember what I said to you before. Let go of some of those things in the past. There's things moving forward that are exciting. I do think that you'll go and refer to the past, but I think that at a different time or in a different energy. This 5 of Cups to me also signifies that, you know, with this South Node eclipse that just happened, people can be in their feelings. And it's not only because they're petty or they're weak or something like that. You know, it all hits us in different ways at different times, and our psychologies are funny. So instead of seeing someone who's just being harsh or difficult or not very approachable at this time, I have a feeling that this person, this masculine energy, is 5 of Cups. It's like they can't figure it out. So leave them to the man cave. You guys remember the man cave? People used to always joke about that. Leave them to the man cave. And then we have very strong energies for love. And this is a fire position here. And so there's Venus and, you know, Mars and Venus aren't traveling together, but when Mars enters into Aries, that's a very similar energy. And Venus and Jupiter in Aries, very, very hopeful, very nice energy for everyone, not just fire signs. So if you're kind of having a romance with someone, that's great. Family stuff is strong. We talked about that. I think that's mostly Ceres in Cancer. This means this is a nice long transit. It lasts a couple months. So it's not like super long, but it will really improve. You'll get a couple months in the summer, and there's a lot of family healing that's going on. So hopefully that will bring you to closer to your family members. If there's conflict between you and family members, especially deeply emotional, difficult stuff, you might want to apply yourself to make it better. And so there we have Saturn. So this is why I came, just knowing the astrology, right? But in this position, the stress and the pressure are alleviating. Look to the new. And definitely, I really strongly encourage you, don't get drawn into other people's petty energy, because you only have 2 weeks. You want to protect your nervous system, get rest, because that tension is going to rise again, and it's very good for you to honor the energy that's coming, the positive energy. So there could be things from the past creeping up, but you really want to be wary of, you know, you want to be wary of being attached to it in any way. So if somebody can't get over their blues or feeling bad or something, you know, you definitely want to not participate with them. Okay? I feel like I've done a good number on this, so I hope you enjoyed the video. We had the Four of Swords on the bottom, which is the perfect card for the reading. Just get rest over the 2 weeks, but don't rest on your laurels. Don't just waste your time. Be strategic in your rest. Don't push certain situations that aren't happening. Maybe look forward to new things on your horizon. There's a lot there. And it feels like you might have some spiritual experiences, which is nice. And that's connected maybe to these advanced placements in Pisces. There's a lot happening in Pisces as well. Saturn will be moving into Pisces. That's going to be, I bet when Saturn enters Pisces, there's going to be a reformation of a lot of religious stuff. Just wait and see. I think that's brewing. There's a lot happening next year with religion. So we'll see about that, but this is more spirituality. Anyway, so thank you guys so much for bearing with me and my Mercury retrograde madness. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I love you guys, and I'll be back now. Now I feel fine, and we'll start with Earth signs tomorrow for the members, and once I'm done the members readings, then I'll go back to doing everyone's. No, this is a public video. Yep. Yeah, it felt good. It felt like the right energy. I was gonna do like a edited video for you guys, but I was working on it, and kind of this energy is more important now, so it's better to do a grassroots video as opposed to like a fully edited video about the right. It's better the how do you say, you know, the meat and the potatoes, like it's better, well, to all the vegans out there, I'm sorry for that reference, but like it's like a form over function, right? Like it's a function is more important than form sometimes, so I made that decision. Meat and potatoes. There's a joke that I really find funny because of that, and that's why I keep on saying it. It has nothing to do with meat, but have a good night, you guys. Thank you, Deji, for being here. Thanks, Jessica, for doing the moderation, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much.